Hello, it's Monday, the 14th of April 2025. I'm in the study here in the UK, and I am going to comment on the current US tariff situation and why, if you're an Apple user, you should be probably buying your computers right now. So things are changing quickly. Tariffs are on, they're off. At one point last week, they were over 120% tariff for US entries from China for finished goods and components. And then there was another U-turn whereby they said, oh no, we're going to give you a month or two tariff-free whilst we sort out the manufacturing in the US. So it wasn't a full reprieve, it was a conditional reprieve. And now we're on Monday morning and the position is, of course, totally unclear. And side note, I would say that I once worked for an American company and we tried to establish a manufacturing plant making finished goods and the setup, and I was involved with the SAP software side of things. The whole process from software setup to manufacturing plant construction to manufacturing plant operation took about 4 years, and we were really, really working every single day hard. To think that anyone can move manufacturing plants from one country to another, including all supply chain movements, within a matter of months, is absolutely ludicrous, farcical. It's a travesty and it's an insult to every engineer who's ever worked on such a project. Such a project will take years. The situation is that Apple cannot maintain the current pricing of its computers or phones, and I'm about to explain why I think if you're in the marketplace for Apple electronics worldwide, i.e. not just in the US, you should be buying now. So as things stand, Apple normally has a global pricing strategy, which means to say that it sets one global price and then local taxes are applied as a result of that price. So you take the price in dollars, and for example, in Switzerland, since the VAT rate is less than 8% or under 10%, the actual finished cost of an item that comes into Switzerland is much lower than, say, the UK, because the UK VAT, the value added tax, is 20% here. And the US, the sales tax, I understand, would vary from state to state. So the price you pay for Apple goods internationally is set on a base price onto which tariffs and value added tax is applied. And in the future, with these 100% plus tariffs, or whatever tariffs are going to be set for goods coming into the US from China, Apple's got a number of different options. So firstly, they could just completely say we're going to absorb all the price increases, and I don't believe that's at all possible. So with the current tariff is over 100%, there's a reprieve for now, but they said, oh, within a month or two it's going to go back. It would be unrealistic to expect that Apple will be able to absorb that huge amount of tariff. It's completely, even Apple doesn't make that much profit on each item. So keeping the goods at the current price, I do not believe is an option. I think a much bigger chance is that Apple is going to set a higher price, and they're going to set a global higher price. And what's going to happen is that effectively people outside of the US are going to be subsidizing people who live in the US. So Apple will set a higher price, which includes some, which won't be paid for any delivery from China to everywhere in the world except for America. So effectively, Apple's goods for US deliveries will be subsidized by the rest of the world. I think that's one of the most likely situations. The other thing that they could do is have a differential price, which would involve the US price being subject to the current US tariffs, which let's say 100%, just roughly. And the rest of the world wouldn't be subject to those tariffs because the goods are being made in China, designed internationally, made in China, and shipped, let's say, to this location, which is the UK. So me sitting in the UK technically wouldn't be subject to any of these tariffs that the US government has set. But I think that's unlikely because Apple always prices globally. So I think do nothing is not an option. Differential pricing is, I would say, unlikely. And I think what's going to happen is Apple is going to set a higher price, and effectively everyone outside the US will be subsidizing US deliveries. So the upshot is, before that happens, if you're thinking of buying any Apple equipment, I would buy it right now. Thanks for watching.